There are a bunch of areas near Raleigh that you can move to, but obviously you would love to move to the best area for you. So I'll be sharing with you where are some of the popular areas and highly regarded areas near Raleigh, according to niche.com. However, there is always several factors that you should consider when choosing an area, so be sure to have a checklist of the things that you need to identify which area is going to be for you. Now, if you're new to me in this YouTube channel, we talk about everything you need to know about Raleigh, North Carolina, so make sure to subscribe and hit the bell so you don't miss out. But also, I am a licensed realtor here, so if you're looking to relocate, don't forget to reach out. But before we get started, there's something that I personally want you to do. I want to see if you can guess which area is the #1 area that is highly regarded, popular, the area that people want to move to, the most in demand, also what niche.com considers the #1 area. So be sure to write it down somewhere, type it, I don't know where, just keep it in your brain. I guess you could do that as well. But stick around to see if you guessed the right area according to what niche.com states as the #1 best area. Number 10 on this list is Hillsboro, and let's go ahead and scroll over to niche.com to check it out here on this page in itself. This is, again, you guys can search all this stuff up. This is not just because I'm a realtor I have this information. You guys have it as well. This is Hillsboro, which is actually in Orange County. A lot of times we talk about Wake County and Raleigh, but here we're in Orange County, and it sits about 20 minutes from Durham and Chapel Hill. So I can actually show you guys on the map where Hillsboro is specifically located in retrospect to Durham and Chapel Hill, so that you guys have an understanding. But you can see it pretty much is going to put you about 20 minutes from each. So if you don't want to be in Durham, you don't want to be in Chapel Hill, but you want to be really close, here's an opportunity. Here's a kind of a place that you can go to. You're going to have a suburban feel to it. It's going to have a lot of historical feel as well. But let's go ahead and check out the report card so you guys can see what is everything graded based on niche.com. This is definitely going to be a smaller town, so don't expect anything to be out, kind of big and over and above. So definitely have that in mind. But it being a small town, you're really close to Eno River State Park. So if you're a type of person that you like to be outdoors, that's something that you can definitely go ahead and take a look at. My phone is going crazy right now, which is okay. Then we have, of course, the rent to own. So a lot of individuals here are owning, and let's actually take it a step further. I wasn't planning on doing this, so this is kind of catching me off guard. But let's go ahead and actually see what is the median home value, because sometimes I know niche.com lags in terms of this information. So given that most people are owning here, I'm sure you guys also want to know what is the dollar amount. So let's go ahead and take a look. This is something that we have access to. Wrong thing. It's the MLS. So I hope I'm not losing you guys just quite yet, but I want to give you guys that information. So let's go check out Hillsboro. Let's make sure I can move my guy really quickly. As you can see, median sales price, so we're good there, and $419. So you can see how when you look at niche.com, some of the information is probably just going to be maybe a few months or years behind. I don't know how they collect the information, quite frankly. But now that you have that, you can get a good understanding what is going on in Hillsboro. It's a suburb of Durham, really close to Chapel Hill. So if that is something that you are considering, there you go. Moving on to number 9, we have Raleigh on this list. Oh man, how much more can I speak about Raleigh? I mean, we do this all the time, and so I'm not going to really speak too much about it. As you guys know, it is the capital of North Carolina. It is more of a city base. It's probably the, outside of Charlotte, I would say the closest of any city that I've experienced, at least. But it is still going to give you that mid-size. Again, I don't want to talk about this because I had a ton of videos on this. So if you do have any questions, concerns, or you want to know something specific, there's a possibility that it's already been answered in one of my other videos. But I'll go through this really quickly just for those individuals that just came across me for the very first time. Here's their report card. Let's go to the rent to own aspect to see, again, urban suburban mix feel. Yes, I could definitely agree to that. Now again, this far, I don't know where they're getting their information from, but a lot of individuals do own here. So let's go ahead and check out what is going on in Raleigh in terms of median sales price. And there we go, we're sitting at 416. So something to keep in mind, depending on what you're looking at and where you want to go. But that's something that you could do. And again, you guys can go ahead and take a look at this at your own leisure. This is all on niche.com. Oh, look, there's a map there, and it outlines it all for you guys. So that helps, gives you as schools, gives you the crime and safety. So these are things I'm not going to go over too much, because again, I flood you guys with all the information that's necessary that you guys may need when it comes to Raleigh. So don't want to bore you guys here. I just want to go ahead and move on to the next one, which is number 8. We are going to be discussing Wake Forest. Wake Forest is something that we don't really talk about too much on here, because quite frankly, I'm not a big fan of Wake Forest. This is just a personal opinion. It's too far out, especially this route right here. Oh my goodness, it's just going in and out of Wake Forest sometimes could be a pain in the butt. But a great place, I think, if you want to be close to Raleigh but don't want to be in Raleigh. It's definitely a suburb of it. Let's go ahead and check out the report card and see what's really going on down there. And you can kind of see here what, the grades that have been put out there for it. If these grades that are given from niche.com look appealing to you, then hey, maybe you take it a step further and figure out what it's really all about. You're definitely going to get your suburban feel, historical feel, I will say. Not too, nothing, me personally, I would say not too close to the city at all. Again, you're in the suburb of a bigger city, so it feeds off of that a lot, but it has its own amenities, does really well. In fact, you don't even need to be in Raleigh if you're in Wake Forest. You could just kind of just be in Wake Forest and do other things there, because they have everything for you. Let's go ahead and check out, I didn't really speak on it, I didn't show you guys, so sorry about that. But again, many individuals do own here, and so again, median home value, goodness, you guys can get tricked up out there, man. I get it. This is why you reach out, and this is why you that number that you do see popping up right there, give me a call, shoot me a text, email, day or night, heck, maybe on the weekends. Just remember, I always got your back. And this is why you want to do this, because having the information, the proper information, so that you can make a great educated, not even guess, but an educated, informed decision to see what would make sense for you. And so looking at Wake Forest is one of those areas that does, they pumped it up, they got the premium pretty high for you guys. So if you got deep pockets like that, then maybe you can have some fun in Wake Forest. But again, this is exactly why you must reach out to me. It's because having the information is going to be extremely helpful to your transition from one place to another. But don't want to speak too much more about Wake Forest. Since we got through a few areas already, I'm really curious to know, did any one of those areas pop out to you? Now you're getting additional information. You're getting a step ahead, maybe your competition. So again, reach out to me if you do have any questions. You also want to relocate here for, whatever reason that you may need to or that you want to. Reach out to me and let's talk about it and see if this is a good fit for you, if any one of those places are a good fit for you, right? And I gotta know, is your number one choice still alive? The area that you decided to choose as the best area according to niche.com, is it still alive? And if you cheated already, man, shame on you. But this is all fun and games. Let's have fun here. But I'll be moving on to discuss number 7, Holly Springs. So speaking of Holly Springs, now we're in Wake Forest. I said Wake Forest. Now we're in Wake County. So we're really in that Wake County aspect. I don't think I discussed it when we were in Wake Forest, but again, that Raleigh, Wake Forest that we already discussed, the Holly Springs are all going to be a Wake County, and this is an area that is going to be a suburb of Raleigh. So you're going to be close. I would say it's a little different in terms of Wake Forest that we just previously discussed. In fact, it's more modernized, and it gives you more of that newer feel to it, I would say, because again, Holly Springs, I remember speaking to a guy and he was like, yeah, Holly Springs was just land like maybe 20 years ago. It was just land, grass, and none of that was there now. Now if you go through it, you see shops, you got restaurants, you got a whole bunch of traffic. It's not traffic in a bad way, it's just people, obviously maneuvering and going through the city. Don't want to fear you guys off on that one, but just definitely want to point that out. Let's go ahead and check out the report card so you guys can see what's going on there. There's also a park there that is called Ting Park that a lot of individuals go to when visiting. So if you are thinking about going to Holly Springs, relocating there, or even just wanting to visit, check out Ting Park. It's one of those areas that has a lot of stuff to do for the kiddos. So if you have kiddos there, especially if they're into sports, then that's a place you're going to want to go ahead and take them to. And again, it's a newer place, so you're going to have the new construction being there. In fact, most of the properties are going to be relatively new. Not too much renting going on there. But let's go check it out here so that you guys have the information. Now, depending on when you're watching this, a lot may change in the world. So definitely keep that in mind. And I just want to make sure I'm still okay. Median sales, great. Let's see what the average is, just because I want to kind of check it out to see if it's not. See, it doesn't really change that much. So there you have it for Holly Springs. Moving on to number 6, Roseville. So here in Roseville, it's closer to Wake Forest. So let's just say, Wake Forest prices are just not a good friend of yours. You're like, oh, heck no. Roseville is essentially the next in line, closer to Wake Forest, and still puts you still relatively close to Raleigh, as it is a suburb of Raleigh. Will you have a lot of parks and stuff like that? I did a video on this, and as I recall last time, it wasn't too much to do. So you're gonna definitely have to feed off of one of the your big suburbs, whether it be Wake Forest or Raleigh. But you are still gonna be relatively close to it all. So given that you are going to be in in Wake County, sorry. And so here you go, and there you go. I haven't really talked about the feels of the past cities and areas that we discussed, but here you're gonna get that rural area. So for anybody that wants to be in a rural area, there you go. And that was Roseville. And so, jeez, man, they are killing you guys. Oh my goodness, I did not expect Roseville to be like this. Because if I make that comparison to Wake Forest, sorry, I just have to go backtrack. 516. That is insane. And oh my goodness, this is a big question mark, guys. And I'm going through this now because, as far as what I concern, Roseville is mainly new construction, but jeez. Now, if anybody looks at this and is like, man, you were actually looking to move to Roseville, or you were intrigued by the information that was just presented to you, and those numbers just hit you, just really reach out to me, because I know there's a lot of new construction going on there, and I have a list of individuals that I can reach out to see, how can we make it happen, or what is it that we can do to give yourself that advantage. But man, Roseville, goodness, they are smack. And when I say it's close, here, let's go take a look at the map view. When I say they're smoking you guys, it's Wake Forest is here. It's further than Raleigh. I mean, it's further. Wake Forest is further. But it's still, I guess, the price point. I'm just in my own head at this point, and you guys are kind of listening to my thoughts, probably like wondering what's going on. But I am just shocked that Roseville median sales price is sitting at $590 when, in my opinion, Wake Forest has way more. So you guys can look at that as a deal, as a bargain. Given that Wake Forest has a little bit more going on, it's way more developed than Roseville, which is kind of mind-boggling why it will be way more expensive than Wake Forest. But hey, what do I know? I don't make the rules up, so I just follow the rules, hear the rules, and see what the rules are all about. But we're going to be moving on to number 5, which is Chapel Hill. If you haven't been to Chapel Hill, it's a place you just gotta go to. I mean, chances are, if you haven't been, you don't have any kiddos that are in, shouldn't call them kiddos, right? You don't have any college students. You don't have any kids that are in school, in college specifically, because this is a big college town. That's what it's going to be known for. Yes, of course, there's going to be areas that is not predominantly, just college students, but Chapel Hill really gets its feedback, it's all its feedback from UNC. So it's mainly going to be a college town. Keep that in mind. You're going to now be in Orange County, so kind of where you were with the Hillsboro aspect. You're now be in Orange County. But one thing I would say is, of course, being in Chapel Hill, you'll have UNC, so great education system. And of course, the medical facilities that are there. So if you are thinking or wanting or even desire to be within the medical facilities, then this is an area that you could definitely check out. I don't know why it says number 7. I just realized that it says number 7 best suburbs to live in North Carolina, but we're talking about the area, so oh well. That's another thing that you guys can click on, right? So if I click on it real quick, it's gonna take you a whole nother rabbit hole of other areas that you can go ahead and check out. And I don't know if you guys saw the number 1, but that was a nice hint of what we may be discussing later, a little bit later today. But what is it going to give you? That urban suburban feel that, yes, is going to be up to date, modernized, and you can see it. Many individuals rent here, hence college town. So I personally, well, actually for my investors, for those individuals that like cash flow, for those that want to, have a property to, take care of them for their retirement, let's go see what the sales price is so that you can have an idea if you're thinking about, buying a property for investment purposes, what ideally the median sales price is, which is $575. But enough about Chapel Hill. Let's move on to number 4, which is Carrboro. First thing about this area that I will say is I don't like how it states here it's a suburb of Durham when in fact it sits closer to Chapel Hill more than anything. I guess if you look at it from a major metro aspect, then yes, but still Chapel Hill's right there. I don't understand, so don't get confused with that. We can actually, let's go check out the map actually, just so you guys can see. There you have it. So it's really close to Chapel Hill. So why does it say it's a suburb of Durham? I'm assuming because the major city aspect of it, but in all reality it sits more closer to Chapel Hill than anything. So again, you're kind of gonna get that city feel, sorry, not the city feel, the college city feel, college town aspect again, as it feeds really off of Chapel Hill in itself. And still in Orange County, again, many individuals are going to rent because again, you're still dealing with the college town aspect of it. But let's go ahead and see, for anybody that's thinking about, hey, I need some cash flow, $650. How are you more than Chapel Hill? Sometimes this stuff doesn't make any sense to me. It's like, what are you bidding on? I mean, you would expect people to want to be in Chapel Hill a little bit more given the establishment that it has, but again, I don't make the rules up. But this is why you reach out. This is why, just picking my brain, I'm giving you guys as much information as I possibly can, but picking my brain sometimes is going to give you that advantage that other people may not have. So do you see that number that is popping up right there? Make sure to give me a call, shoot me a text, email, day or night, heck, maybe even on the weekends. Always remember one thing: I got your back in this market. Now, before we get into the good stuff, I gotta know, is your number 1 area that you wrote down or put in your mind or wrote on your phone somewhere, is it still alive? Because we're getting into the top 3 areas now. The number 3 area is Apex. This area, Apex, is one of the most highly desirable areas, so be prepared for everything I'm gonna get ready to say. And when I say highly desirable, I get phone calls about this area, another area we're going to discuss. There's a reason why it's the top 3. It's not only because everyone is desired, but it's on the news everywhere. In fact, I want to say a couple of years ago, it was on the news as like the number 1 place to live, and then another place that I'm going to discuss took over that, and now that's the number 1 thing that everyone discusses. It has a slogan, the peak of good living. So that's how it's kind of advertised nowadays. Here's their report card. You guys can go ahead and take a look at it. But this is going to be a suburb of Raleigh. I mean, you're sitting about maybe 20-25 minutes from Raleigh in itself. And you really have everything. I mean, geez, A's and B's all across the board. I mean, what more do you really need, right? And many individuals are going to own here. So speaking of ownership, let's go see what and expect the high premium here. I'll tell you that. Expect it. $575, that's generous. That's real generous. And so, of course, depending on when you watch this, you guys can make comparisons in between now and whenever you're watching this to see what is the cost really like. Did it go up? Did it go down? So you guys could really do that at your own leisure. And you can even take a look to see more about what is going on in Apex in itself. But you're going to have a suburban feel without a doubt. You can see it here. I don't really need to say too much about it. Is it going to be like, what is it similar to? I can't compare it to Raleigh. Can't compare it to Wake Forest. I could compare it semi to, no, I would say, and I only want to make this comparison just because of the conversation. And I would say it's most compared to, in my opinion, Cary, and then I would give it a little bit of Wake Forest. Wake Forest is way larger than Apex and has way more going on. So that's one of the things I would definitely say. And also another thing that I could point out here while we're at it, I do get when individuals do inquire about Apex, one thing that they do, I always wonder is like, why Apex out of all places? They always mention friendship. And so I'm putting friendship on the map for you guys watching this today. There's, I guess it's a good schooling system that a lot of people do have looked up, and you know, they always tell me, yeah, I want to be as close as possible. I want to be in that school district. So friendship is one of those areas. Now I don't know if they're at capacity, so that's something you're gonna really want to look into, because if they are, then you'll kind of be limited there as to what you can and cannot do in terms of having a child attend the school friendship. So enough of that. I think we've heard enough about Apex. Yes, it's a great place, and you can have fun based off of what niche.com says. But let's move on to number 2, which is Morrisville. So when looking at Morrisville, again, this is another area highly desirable. Why? For several reasons. And here we can show you right now, right? You're close to the airport. So if you like to travel in and out, you know, Morrisville is going to be a place that you might want to be. However, I will say, you know, just expect to be in the path of the airplane. So if you don't like the airplane noise at all, then maybe you don't consider this area. But also on the other end, you're close to Research Triangle Park, where a lot of companies are now relocating to. So you have easy access to that. And in fact, I didn't mention this, but Research Triangle Park is, as well, as you can see here, close to Chapel Hill and close to Durham. But there's Morrisville, one of the areas that a lot of people do. Again, reach out to me and say, hey, what's going on in Morrisville, or what can you tell me about Morrisville? How is it? You know, what's the real estate look like in that area? For several different reasons. And it's a newer I wouldn't say up and coming, just because it's, in my opinion, it's already established, but it has to feed off of your Cary, your Raleigh, and even your Apex, your Durham, because again, it's limited in terms of what it offers, in my opinion. But since a lot of individuals do own, and it gives you that suburban feel, let's go ahead and check out the price point. Now, this is another area where I will say, expect the prices to be a little bit up there. Something's going on. Of course, something's going on in the world right now as I'm recording this in October of 2023. But this, I expected Morrisville to be a bit more, as it typically leads the way after the number 1 area, which I'm curious, is it still alive? Is your number 1 still alive? At this point, I think I gave it away. You guys should really know what the number 1 is, because there's not much areas left to really discuss that isn't advertised as much as what it is already out there. So I'm curious, did you have Cary as the number 1 area in 2023 that is the best area or the best place to live near Raleigh? If not, it's okay. Better luck next time. But that is the number 1 area. We'll go ahead and talk about it a little bit more and go into the specifics. But Cary is one of those places that, yeah, I mean, it speaks for itself. Years after year after year, it's been on the map in terms of just, especially the media, just saying, hey, Cary, North Carolina, top place, best place to raise a family, yada yada yada. Like you see all these accolades everywhere, and so I think that plays a big part in it. I can't wait to see what niche.com ranks as the number 1 for 2024, but I wouldn't be too surprised if Cary still holds that spot. Granted, a lot of people are still relocating to that area. Right, still get a lot of people inquiring about the area. And in fact, if you could really see, the top 3 is all in the same area. So if you don't like what goes on in Cary, you don't really get that feel of Cary to be, you know, advantageous to what you're looking for, you can go to Morrisville, you can go to Apex, right? So there's several other places that you can even go to get that same, maybe, you know, that feel of it. It is going to be in Wake County. It is going to be a suburb of Raleigh, and you are going to have a suburban feel. Again, I personally say that a lot of Apex and Morrisville, they feed off of Cary, and Cary feeds off of Raleigh. So something to keep in mind in terms of thinking about, like, you know, the things that you can do. But Cary, they're doing their thing. They're reinventing themselves day in and day out. So, you know, I think there's just going to be, especially when the future comes down to it, there's definitely going to be much more to do. And now let's go ahead and see. So yeah, Morrisville, Morrisville is the least out of Cary, Apex, and Morrisville. And so there you guys go. A lot of people are owning, and you know, they're paying a premium. They're paying a premium. Let's go see. I just want to double check and just kind of compare and contrast. So 600. So yeah, 575, and then we have 470, right? So yeah, Cary right now holds the crown, and it holds the crown for several different reasons, as you all may know. However, if you want more information about specific areas in Raleigh, I actually have a playlist called Raleigh Explained. I'll actually tag above so you can watch it when this is all said and done. And in that playlist and stuff, you'll have specific areas down to the neighborhood of what it's like to be in that neighborhood, what's going on, what does it even look like. And while you're getting ready to check that out, I'm curious to know, because I didn't say this beforehand, but did you get the #1 area right? If so, let's leave it in the comments below. I'm curious to know if you got it right, and if you did, if you didn't, what area did you have as your #1? Because ultimately, the #1 area in Raleigh for you is going to be based on your specific needs, wants, and what is it that you desire to even be around. So this is why I'm glad I presented this information for you guys, so that you guys can see the other areas and not are set in stone in your #1 area. Therefore, you can make an informed decision and know that you won't be making a bad decision when relocating to the Raleigh area. But just as much as I enjoy making these videos for you guys, my name is Roney Polynice, and I am a licensed realtor here, so I would love nothing more but the opportunity to be able to assist you on your relocation needs. So you see that number that is popping up right there? Make sure to give me a call, shoot me a text, email, day or night, heck, maybe even on the weekend. Always remember one thing: I got your back in this market.